say no. I want to begin by thanking you for being here today. And also, I don't know why this just occurred to me, but since you're all going to be coming every Sunday for the rest of the month, and for Christmas Eve, right? Right? Because Christmas Eve is just amazing here. Has anyone been here for Christmas Eve? Like, applaud if you've been here for Christmas Eve. I don't know, of course it's my opinion. Whatever. It's awesome. If you haven't been here for Christmas Eve, it's magical. It's beautiful. It is enchanted. This place is transformed in so many ways, and so I hope everyone will be here on Christmas Eve. You can arrive as early as 2:45, because we know parking is a challenge. We have a reception before the service starts. And so there will be goodies and treats and snacks, and you can hang out and mix and mingle and jingle. And then it gets rolling at 3:30. But here's what I was actually building up to. Across the street is UMB Bank, and they have agreed, as long as we don't put this in writing publicly, I can say out loud that if any of you need a place to park, they will look the other way. So keep that in mind, because it's actually, if you just don't drive around the neighborhood 20 times and you just go right over there and park, it's like a 1-minute walk, which is good for you. So there. So let's take a moment. We're going to quickly do a review of what's coming up. There's a beautiful insert. The insert, of course, reviews Christmas Eve once again, and our spectacular Greg Braden event coming up January 3rd. Last night, some of you were here, and I went on and on and on about Greg. Greg is a multiple times over New York Times bestselling author. And he is also the kind of guy who, this is going to sound weird, but whether you're interested in his specific genre of material or not, he is always a 5-star performance. He delivers everything he does impeccably. So it's always a great experience. It's always a great experience. I'm always quite enamored by Greg. He's a friend of mine, and I know behind the scenes he does things impeccably because, it's down to what he eats for breakfast the day of when he speaks. He won't eat anything he's never eaten before, right? Everything's timed and paced because he wants to give his best to everyone. And I always admire that because it is kind of like the opposite of me. I'm in the kitchen 5 minutes before and he's like, "Do you want to try a hot wing?" And I'm like, "Oh, hot wings, yeah! Oh, I gotta get out there. Steven, stop playing." Anyway, I digress. So, some quick things to go over. Things are getting quiet as we go into the holiday season. We have always need for volunteers in the kitchen, Women's Homelessness Initiative. Explorations continues on Thursdays. You can drop in as we explore various topics relating to the holidays. Saturday morning meditations at 9. Can't see anymore. Oh, Exploring Who You Are with Erika King. That looks awesome. So check that out, Tuesday, December 10th. Course in Miracles continues. Walking the Medicine Wheel with Janine Dancing Crow Ballone. That's December 28th. I have something weird and special coming up the first week of January. Stay tuned for that. There will be a beautiful winter solstice ceremony on the 21st. And then, of course, we've mentioned Greg Braden already. So typically, after the 24th in the evening, when we all head off to our different things, the center kind of goes to sleep for about 10 days, although we do have Sunday services. So in case people are wondering, we do have Sunday services. Now, I think that's enough for announcements. Today, our theme, what does it say? Oh, no. I'm just kidding. The theme is Wholeness inner child. And there's a lot of interesting reasons for talking about the inner child at this time of the year. By no great coincidence, it's also a time where we support a very special organization that is really about the welfare of children, of young women. And I wanted to invite Jody to talk about this. It is her project that she brings to us, and we're very honored to celebrate it every year. Reverend Jody.
Good morning. It's so good to see everyone. I've been working on Sundays, so it's been a long time. So 5 years ago, Katie Godwin Morales was in the Dominican Republic, and she was there to help build homes. And what she witnessed was a father selling his 13 and 12-year-old daughters for food and alcohol. So she rescued them, and thus started what's called the Bate Girls. So the Bate Girls is a nonprofit organization to provide economic opportunities for women and girls escaping human trafficking, exploitation, and domestic violence in the Dominican Republic and in America. My passion for this comes from my own shadowy experience as a child. And my husband and I support the Bate Girls every month, and we are becoming more and more, we're kind of the Denver people to get this message out in the world. So what happens is these girls are rescued, they're put into a holistic program, and then they make these beautiful pieces of jewelry. And the organization is pretty much supported by this jewelry. We were scheduled to do a trunk show today. We have about $3,000 worth of amazing jewelry that was supposed to arrive last night. It has not, but my beautiful soul daughter Rachel and I both support this organization, so we brought our jewels to show you what's coming. The next 2 Sundays we will be having a trunk show. So please save your Christmas list. I have so many stories to tell you. I just want to tell you about this one little bracelet that is my favorite. See if I can do this without crying. This was made by an 18-year-old, designed by an 18-year-old, and she was sold when she was 10. And she now has 4 children, but she's in the program, and she is recovering, and she has the courage to transform her life. So please come and see what's coming next week and the week after, and we'll be at the table in the lunchroom and tell you anything about the Bate Girls. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. And welcome, Tom. There's Tom sitting. I've never seen that. He sits. I didn't even know his legs bent that way. He's like one of those action figures. He's always up cooking. So, with that, we're going to begin our transition into our theme and our message of the day. Even though at Althea we are absolutely eclectic and all faith and no faith, it is holiday time in America. And so, of course, the Christmas theme prevails. We certainly celebrate solstice here, and we honor Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and all the different things that come through this time. But one of the things that always strikes me about this season, and a thread that runs through it, is this idea of the place of the child. Right? Like Christmas is for kids, and it's all about magic, and it's all about wonder, and if you even remember what it was supposed to be about, it's about a baby, Jesus, and yet it strikes me how often any one of us, myself included, can miss an opportunity to see something mystical, right before my eyes. It's too easy to see the crass commercialism and to respond to that, kind of abrasiveness of the aggressive marketing everywhere. And yet, yes, even good marketing seeks to tap into the human psyche. And there are themes that recur and recur and recur around us. And whenever I see that, I always think, well, what if we look a little deeper? Like, what if we don't just react to what we see? Well, what if we let it be a reminder? What if we let it be an invitation? What if we let it be a gateway, a doorway? What if there is a call once a year for all of us to tend to the child within? In many churches, people will talk about that theme, the birth of Jesus within. But even in the most secular settings, where it's Santa hats and glowing noses and Frosty the Snowman on every single radio station ad nauseum. Sorry, I'm listening to a lot of Frosty the Snowman. Can we go deeper? Can we hear something deeper? Can we feel something deeper? And as we move into our time together, I want to invite you right away to begin this contemplation of the place of the child in your world, the welfare of children. The education of children, the medical, mental health support of children. It's something mind-blowing if you really take the time to feel your way into it. Because you may forget, but every single one of you was a child. Every single one of you is a child. And all the things that we struggle with, and all the things that come with ease, for the most part, are rooted in our relationship to childhood and our experiences as a child. And so it's astonishing to me that this pervasive theme in psychology and spirituality could be so easily forgotten. And then we find our public schools, I have 2 kids, constantly asking parents to make donations because they don't have enough money for basic supplies in supposedly a first world country. We have very few resources or even openness to talk about the mental health of children. And we live in an environment where being too childlike is frowned upon in business settings and leadership and relationships. But I dare say the absence of the childlike quality seems to have made all too much room for our leaders to be childish. These are themes that I think we might ponder together, that we might feel in ourselves. And so with that, let us take a breath. Let us close our eyes. Deeply in and a long, slow exhale. With your eyes closed and your breath drawing your awareness down into the quiet center of your being. I invite you to look around and find yourself inside. A small version of you. connection moves around. Can you remember? Can you remember what it's like to be curious? To be full of wonder? To be uncensored? To be surprised? To be excited at life? Can you remember what it was like when you enjoyed things without analyzing whether you should enjoy them or not? You remember when you allowed yourself to be animated by music, and sounds, and color, and movement? Can you remember when you used to dance just because you felt like it, whether there was music or not? Can you remember a time when you believed in things you could not see and it made perfect sense? Can you remember a time when that beautiful, bright awareness began to doubt herself, himself, and she began to know fear, uncertainty, judgment? When he started to doubt who he is, who people wanted him to be. Can you invite this beautiful young self to be here with us today, sitting in your heart, watching, listening, and being loved by you, by each and all of us? Can we make a place for the child in us to be reborn, whole and integrated, the wonder and the wounding, all of it beautiful, all of it lovable, all of it present with us today? Dear God, divine light and dark of all that is, to the one that is all, a blessing for these children here in this room, here in our hearts. Dear God, a blessing of healing, complete and total glorious healing for the child that we all carry, the lost ones, the broken ones, the worried ones, the hungry ones. The joyful ones, the funny ones, the creative ones. Dear God, bless the children that are gathered here, one and all, each one of us. A child to someone, a child of spirit, a child of life. And from this place, dear God, may we send children everywhere. For the world they face, environment, politics, culture, economy. May we also step into our maturity today, dear God, as we send a prayer into the future. 7 generations forward, dear God, and all those who watch us and guide us, blessings, blessings for those to come. The child may find its home in our hearts and in our world. So that we might all be whole again. And for all these things and the prayers that remain unspoken in our hearts, we lift them together. And we say, Amen. And so, in honor of our journey into the days of awakening, we remember Advent and its process, its progress. And I'd like to invite our own Reverend Pam to come and share some reflections on that.
So I thought today we should talk a little bit about Mary, because Mary birthed the child and also birthed the Christ consciousness within all of us. So please indulge me. These are some words that were from an article entitled "No More Lying About Mary," and it was written by Nancy Rockwell. It's Advent, and the same old lies about Mary are slipping over pulpits and out of parish letters, Christmas cards, public prayers, TV, holiday movies, and late-night comics jokes. The subjugation of Mary, the maligning of her as meek, mild, and mindless, has been harmful to millions of women over many centuries. These ideas keep women from feeling empowered, invited to be strong, and urged by God to imagine new ways to live, as Mary of Nazareth did, who mothered God's redemption of the human world. According to Luke, the angel approached her with words of great honor. "Hail, Mary, full of grace." The angel is explicit. The honor is for the grace that is distinctly hers. God chose a spunky woman. It is Mary's grace that has attracted God's attention. And what is this grace? It is what Luke shows us in her conversations and her actions: courage, boldness, grit, ringing convictions about justice, not submissive meekness. Grace is not submission, and the power of God is never meek. Many women in biblical stories appear in domestic settings, but with Mary, there is no evidence of any domestic work on her part. We never find her cooking or cleaning or washing up. The evidence offered us is her love of adventure. What we find her doing over and over is traveling. journeys that involve risks and an element of danger. Mary, wanted by God, according to the angel, for her bold, independent, adventuresome spirit, decides to bear a holy child for a bold agenda, to bring the mighty down from their thrones, to scatter the proud in the imagination of their hearts, to fill the hungry with good things and send the rich away empty. This is Mary, well-spoken, wise, gritty. She gives birth in a barn, lies down with animals, and welcomes weathered shepherds in the middle of the night. She is determined, not domestic, free, not foolish, holy, not helpless, strong, not submissive. She beckons women everywhere to speak out for God's justice, which is waiting to be born into this world. As Meister Eckhart, a 13th century German mystic, said, "We are all called to be mothers of God, for God is always waiting to be born." And this from St. John of the Cross. "If you want, the Virgin will come walking down the road, pregnant with the holy, and say, 'I need shelter for the night. Please take me inside your heart. My time is so close.' Then, under the roof of your soul, you will witness the sublime intimacy, the divine, the Christ taking birth forever. As she grasps your hand for help, for each of us is the midwife of God, each of us. Yes, there, under the dome of your being, does creation come into existence eternally through your woman, dear pilgrim, the sacred womb of your soul. As God grasps our arm for help, for each of us is his beloved servant never far. If you want, the Virgin will come walking down the street, pregnant with light, and sing."
I used to do this every Christmas. Feels good to be a kid. You know what I did also when I was a kid? What? I was doing this. I'm going to do it just to be a kid. Just hiding from my dad. My dad was also a bass player. When I was a kid, I used to do this when he was out of the house. I know, I'm crazy. I never know what I'm going to do when I play here. Ready? I think it's fun. All right. Wish me luck. Because I wanted to be a bass player since I remember. I have no memories without bass in my life. So I used to do this when I was a kid. Because I was too little for the bass. I was hiding from my dad.
I love to be a kid. All right, let's do something fun. All right? We're all kids now, okay? Oh, don't say yes. Like,
Yes. Yes, Gonzalo.
come on. Yeah. Let's do this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. She's like, this guy's crazy. I'm a kid like you. Ready? Keep it up. Okay, don't stop. Let's sing, everybody. Better watch out. You better not cry. You better not shout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming. One more time. Santa Claus is coming. One more time. Santa Claus is coming. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Two. Time. So I'd like to share a cooking tip for this season. It's a simple way to brine your turkey and have all the, no, it's a story. And it's interesting. The story has been haunting me all week. And some of you have definitely heard it before, but it's interesting because well, I think you're going to hear it in a very different way, or at least I'm hearing it in a very different way. So the story begins, as you know, long ago. And where? Far, far away. You couldn't guess? Come on. And it's the story of a great queen. Woo! I don't know what you're thinking, but probably not that kind of queen. And she was powerful, wealthy, wise, and she had an empire that was unrivaled. And she ruled for a long time and was not yet a mother. But the day came where she felt like maybe she was ripening and motherhood was in her future, and so she consulted all her great advisors, as they did back in the day. You know, the wisdom keepers, the astrologers, the intuitives. And they all said the same thing. They read the dreams, they read the stars, they cast the leaves. They all said the same thing. They said, you will have a daughter. And she may grow to be one of the wisest, most beloved rulers the world has ever known. But it could go really far the other way. And it could be disastrous. Your legacy in ruins. So you need to be careful what you do and what you bring about. As if the average parent isn't worried enough. It could be the downfall of your empire. Well, time passed, and of course she was with child. And of course she continued to consult other seers and sages, and of course she couldn't get another answer, the big warning. And so her daughter was born. And she brought all of her resources to bear so that this horrible fate could be avoided. The finest linens, the finest foods, everything organic, local, ethical, non-GMO. The finest tutors. I mean, even by age 1, she had people singing operas around the child all day in other languages to enrich her brain development. It was actually the foundation of the baby Einstein empire. Everything you could imagine this child might need or want, she had in excess. But little by little, as this little girl grew, no matter what the mother brought to bear, she just became more and more a little tyrant. She was mean to her tutors. She would throw her organic, fair trade, local food on the floor. She was demanding, insulting. By the time she was 4 or 5, I mean, come on, don't make a face. Let's face it, some kids are jerks. We don't want to admit that. It's always someone else's kid, but in this case, it was her. And every night she lay awake crying. What could she do differently? What had she done? Why was her beautiful little daughter such a little monster? And that's when she found she was with child again. Oh, brother. And so she prayed about it, she thought about it, she meditated on it, and she came to conclude that she would do the only thing she could do to protect the path, the future, the integrity of this little being to come. When her baby was born, she would send it away. So it would know nothing about riches or wealth or privilege or power or organic cotton. And that's just what happened. She had the baby, and after some months of feeding and connecting, loving, she did the most difficult thing that a mother could possibly do, who loved her daughter more than anything in the world. She sent her away for her own good, because the risk was too great. What if it happened again? All the opportunity, all the privilege, what if it spoiled her, as it obviously did her other daughter? And so she sent her daughter away under strict rules. She was to go to a humble, farming, peasant family on the far side of the empire, and no one was to know of her true origin. No one was to know of her true royal birth. It was to be kept a secret. And so it was. She was sent away. She was raised by a loving, hardworking, wonderful family with lots of brothers and sisters. And she was just one of those kids. Bright, cheerful, joyful, helpful. Something magical about her. Everyone loved her, and she knew nothing of her origin. There was never a hint, nothing was spoken of. In fact, everyone basically forgot. Until she was a teenager. And sometime around, I'm guessing about 16, 17, probably 17, she started to have these dreams. And the dreams recurred and recurred until really they were more like nightmares. And the dream was that she was actually not the daughter of a peasant family, but that she was of royal blood, destined to be queen. And no matter how she tried to shape the thought, no matter how she tried to shape the feeling, it was there with her day after day after day until she started to talk to people about it. I'm having these weird dreams that I'm of royal blood, that I'm destined to be queen. And of course, how do you think people responded? They laughed, kids teased her, and even her parents. Honey, people like us don't grow up to be people like that. You've got to put these thoughts out of your head. That's not how it works in this world. It's a beautiful dream, but it's just a dream. And yet, the dream persisted and persisted until she couldn't stand it anymore. One morning she woke up and she said to her family, "That's it. I'm sorry. I know it doesn't make any sense. I know it's irrational. I know you say that there's nothing to this, but it feels too real to deny, and I have to go and find out for myself if there's some truth to this. I'm going to meet the queen, and I'm going to tell her." About my dream. And the mom and the dad freaked out. The young woman's packing her bag, little hobo stick, bag on the back, out the door. Got some bread and potatoes? Thanks. What are we going to do? She knows. How does she know? I didn't tell her. So they ran to the village messenger, And the village messenger got on the biggest, fastest horse and ran as fast as he could to the next biggest village, where they got on the next biggest, fastest horse, and they ran like this across the countryside, until finally they came storming to the Queen's castle, pounding on the gate. "You must let us in!" And though it was late at night, and the drawbridge had been closed, it was lowered, and they rode in. They ran to the Queen's chambers. "Queen, she knows." "What? She knows? She knows? How does she know?" "Nobody told her. They say it was a dream." "A dream?" Well, this is about to turn into a musical, right? They said it was a dream. No. Anyway, good time. And so immediately all the advisors were gathering around, coming up with suggestions, working on plans, establishing working groups and committees. We can head her off at the past. We can turn her around and send her the other way. We could convince her she's crazy and throw her in jail. "What do you want us to do, Queen? We'll look after it." And what did the Queen say? The Queen said no. "Prepare my caravan immediately. Prepare supplies, prepare the men, for we are going. And for every step she takes towards us, we will take 10 towards her until we bring her home. For what she knows is true." And that's really where the story ends. Now, I know most of you want to know, did it end well? Of course it did. Did she become queen? Of course she did. Did her sister get therapy? Of course she did. She became a very nice sister and a wonderful ambassador to other kingdoms and queendoms and so on. But this old story, which has been told for generations, has always been a very powerful story to me, for me. And each time I tell it, I wonder about the layers of meaning, the myth, the structure, and what it is about the soul that it's trying to reveal. Now, more often than not, the way we talk about this story is that it is a reminder that every one of us comes from something more extraordinary than we can imagine. Like royalty, we come from God. We are born of the divine. We are individualized expressions of this magical, eternal, enchanted source. And that even though the people around us may forget that about themselves, it is up to each one of us to remember, to pay attention to our dreams, to the feelings, the calling to return home to the divine. Not a physical journey, but an inner journey as we reclaim who we are as beings immortal, untouchable, unbreakable. The truth of who we are is something that can never be taken. And no matter how broken we feel, no matter how sick we may be, no matter how frustrated with life we may become, the story reminds us that the truth of who we are is untouchable. It is pure. It is beautiful. And nothing can take it from us. But I think there could be more to the story, because the theme of the child is woven throughout. Mother, children, the decisions of parenting. And in this weird way, I kind of rethought, what if this represented a different kind of forgetting, a different kind of separateness, a different kind of amnesia in our culture? And if the queen actually signified the inner child, the divine child, and that the young woman herself represented each of us as adults looking for that something that is missing. And too many of us, of course, it's cliche, but we assume that that which is missing is somewhere around us. We'll find it in accomplishment, we'll find it in wealth, we'll find it in being right, we'll find it in having good offspring or great projects or making a difference in the world. But all external. A certain hunger, a certain something missing. And then this struggle to attain it, for as we reach, it is as though we are pushing it away. You ever have that feeling? And the memory is that there is a place inside us that remembers the divine. And it is the child. The child to the adult is as the divine is to the child. The child within to the adult is as the divine is to the child. When we reclaim and heal and integrate the child that we are, the divine is revealed. It's right. It's kind of like returning to our true nature. And the struggle that so many of us have is that because of the pain of childhood, of which there is plenty for most of us, it gets confusing. And we get caught up in the tension between being childlike and childish. Childlike is when we embrace all the beautiful, wonderful, qualities that we admire about children. And childish is, well, all the other stuff. A group of us from the Althea community had a conversation about this on Thursday, and I was astonished and inspired to hear each person share as we talked about this story. And what I realized were some things that keep us from returning to that royalty, that wholeness, that divinity, that had kind of escaped me before. And it's this community that taught me, as always. I was quite eager, being the Peter Pan that I am, to find, I know Gonzalo and I are like kindred spirits, to find an opportunity to talk about the importance of being childlike and to hear how everyone would want to reclaim that and, oh yes, let's play and let's make jokes and let's look at our face in the mirror and, just let's be wild and fun and enjoy it all. And let's not be so darn childish. Because too many adults, when they have breakdowns in relationships, or work, or life, it's because it's because they're being childish. I want it to be my way, right? You didn't do it my way. You didn't pick me for your team. I brought it, but you didn't use it. Right? That's not what we want. How come you don't see it the way I see it? We're playing this game by my rules. Do I need to go on? But here's what I heard. Maybe what was more painful for me than not being allowed to be childish or childlike and explore wonder and play, I wasn't even allowed to be childish. There was no room for tantrums. There was no room for teen angst. There was no room for being a kid. Too many of the stories were about having to grow up quickly. And what was missed more than the freedom to play was the freedom to be imperfect. The freedom to be sad and have no reason for it. The freedom to be grumpy and not need to explain it. The freedom to not want to go somewhere and then not be told that you have to put a smile on your face and put on a suit and get out to church because that's what good families do. And I thought, wow, isn't that amazing? That when we talk about the need to love the child within and the child in the world, it's not just about bringing back the joy, the playfulness, singing along to the songs on the radio, but it's about finding a new and deeper compassion for the part of us that just wants it to be okay that we're not perfect all the time. Does that make any sense? And so you might consider a little magical dust, a little magical formula, a little magical change as you look in the mirror. As you look at the people in your family or the people on teams or the people that you work with. And when you see them being childish, stomping their feet, demanding things go their way, demanding that you behave the way they were asked to behave when they were so little. And you remember that that is the child speaking. And you ask yourself, what would I want to give that child? What would I have wanted if it had been different for me as a child? It doesn't mean we want to do away with discipline. It doesn't mean we want to do away with structure or ambition or any of those things. They have their place. But where is the simple, loving acceptance of the human experience as it is? Can we offer that to the people that we judge so harshly, and maybe more so to ourselves? For somehow we have internalized the angry parent, the absent parent, the critical parent, whatever it is. And the simple lesson as we come to conclude this reflection is that we, almost all of us, we're adults now. And there's something new and wonderful waiting for us. And it's called maturity. We have the ability to cultivate through community, through meditation, through prayer, through time in nature and time out, pardon the pun, to remember that we are no longer a child. And that's okay. It's beautiful. We are now free and choosing to embrace all the goodness of the child within and to love and heal and forgive. That childish spirit that never received the praise, the safety, the protection that it so deeply longed for. Does that make sense? So let's close our eyes and just end with a reflection. With your eyes closed, just think for a moment of anyone you struggle with. Could be a family member, could be a perpetrator, could be a politician. Could just be people that, break the rules in your neighborhood and leave their trash cans out all week. Think about people that you struggle with, people that you judge. What is their behavior like? Probably childish, right? Lazy, selfish, ungrateful, thoughtless. For a moment, could we imagine the child inside them crying out through these behaviors, the child that never wants God to feel itself fully lashes out, reaches out, expresses it, and doesn't know when to stop. Because there's no one there to love them enough to say, it's okay. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be imperfect. And it's okay to let it go and choose something different. What is that vision we hold for ourselves? What does it mean to be a fully integrated adult? To embrace the moment. To be open to the wisdom of the ages as our guide and not our reactions or formation. To see the whole world as family. All beings as children, ourselves, the mother of life, and yet each of us in spirit, forever young.
Throughout his life, Albert Einstein would retain the intuition and awe of a child. He never lost a sense of wonder and the magic of nature's phenomena, magnetic fields, gravity, inertia, acceleration, light beams, which grown-ups find so commonplace. He retained the ability to hold two thoughts in his mind simultaneously, to be puzzled when they conflicted, and to marvel when he could smell the underlying unity. People like you and me never grow old, he wrote a friend later in life. We never cease to stand like curious children before the great mystery into which we were born.
There we go. There we are. Good morning. I'm just going to take a moment to do a brief announcement. In addition to being your song leader here, I sing in a couple of choirs around the metropolitan area. One of the choruses that I sing with is the Boulder Chorale. And we have a couple of Christmas concerts coming up next weekend on Saturday and Sunday afternoon. So if you're at all interested in going to see Boulder Chorale along with the Boulder Children's Chorus singing with us, come see me and I'll tell you how to, just go to boulderchorale.org and you can see about tickets there, but it's next Saturday and Sunday afternoon. So for today though, I would like to invite you all to sing the first Noel. And the lyrics on this, I could only find 3 verses, but Susan managed to find 5 verses. So we're going to do a little bit of a compromise and do 4 of those verses that she found. And so it'll be all of them except for the very last one on the second page. So we are going to go ahead and flip the page over when we get after the third one, but then we'll finish after that 4th verse. So if you'd all stand as you're able, and join me and Stephen in the first Noel. The first Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. No Thank you so much.
So I'm going to invite our ushers to come forward with your baskets. And as we prepare to, we're coming to the end of our time together, and you can start the passing of the baskets. But it's a time where we build community together. And I'm reminded of the story that our reflection started with. That the return to the child within is a journey. And yes, we all feel it in different ways, like different dreams and different callings. And for some of us, it's about becoming more childlike. And for some of us, it's finally giving ourselves permission to be childish. But it's a process. She must cross a vast country. She must stand up to what she knows. She must invest, as we do here, with our donations, our time, our talent, to build something together, to share something together. And the beauty of this work is just as in the story, when she has the remembering and commits to the journey, the Queen, the universe, God responds and comes to meet us. But not until we take up the journey. And so, with each gift you've offered today, every dollar, it's Canadian dollar. Every minute you've spent here, all the volunteers and volunteering, this is your way. This is part of your journey of remembering and returning to our sacred origin, our sacred birth. To bless our offerings, I'd like to invite Pam to come up, and if you're done with the baskets, you can bring them forward.
We are grateful. We're grateful for hot showers and clear, crisp Colorado nights. We're grateful for our friends and our family, camaraderie, for hope, for delight. We are grateful for trees and sunshine and long, cold, dark nights and gray, gloomy winter days. We are grateful for you, for your contributions of all kinds. It helps to keep the lights on and the heat on, and Jonathan gets a meager paycheck. And we wouldn't be here without him, and we wouldn't be here without you. And so I offer all of us, all of you, all of our thanks and our blessings and our gratitude and our love. Amen.
Well, I don't know how to follow that. Yes. So, as we come to our close of our time, yes, remember that even though there are fewer things going on over the next month, there are some awesome things going on. And really hope that we'll see you out at Solstice and Christmas Eve. It's a beautiful time to bring people to Althea. If you're new or newer, or you know people that think about doing something spiritual but not religious on Christmas Eve, this is the place. Of course, Great Britain tickets are going. But more than anything, don't undermine the power of your presence. The fact that that you show up at all, it actually means more to everyone else here than they know. Did you follow that? The fact that you showed up, it means more because spirit is real, energy is real, the power of the heart is real. And when we fill this room with our prayers, with our longing, with our love, with our willingness, there is something that we all marinate in, stew in. I see Tom, I think of all these cooking metaphors. And you get to take that home, if you choose. Remember it. Our prayer partners will be waiting for you in the historic classroom if you'd like a special blessing, a healing prayer. I will be hosting 1 o'clock deep dive into the theme of today's service in the historic classroom. We have a beautiful lunch waiting for you. And so let's close with some thank yous and a little prayer. First of all, to our maestro, Stephen. Always magnificent. To our special guest singer. That was awesome, because I was not going to sing. I know, that couldn't have been better. Daryl, as always, for your great leadership. Jason hiding in the back, our ushers, our greeters, all of our volunteers, and of course, for some very special holiday magic, Gonzalo. And if you, the playfulness is always between us, because I shoot him a text in the middle of the week. Do you remember that song, Forever Young, when we were young? And then I hear nothing. And then sure enough, we show up today and there he is. I'm like, God, that guy's so good. So whatever you celebrate at this time of the year, may it be a time for you to remember the beauty of the child that you are and the importance of the embrace of that child for the true awakening of light in your life. On that note, let's close our eyes. Let us take a deep breath together to the great mystery, the one that is all. We are humbled by the magic and the wonder of this life. We are humbled by the power of the lessons and the struggles and the extraordinary gifts that lie waiting for us in each and every step and stage of life. We give thanks for all the ways we are nourished in body and mind, heart and soul. We are grateful for this community and all communities of spirit and love. We are grateful for the prayer of peace and the warmth and light of hope. May we radiate this prayer throughout this world and all worlds. Peace, harmony, wholeness,